Bull market or historic meltdown. One week, stocks reach record highs and investors rush in. The next, it's Armageddon. If the markets have you feeling whiplashed, you're not alone. According to the man you're about to meet, history shows nearly every tech-driven bull market plays out the same way. And none of it really matters if you have the right strategy. He says, I've been trading the markets for 4 decades, and I've seen the markets do this exact song and dance before. I'll show you how to make your first $1,000. Record highs or complete meltdown, it's all noise, and I'll show you why. In 2007, for example, stocks set new record highs, driven by new smartphone technology and the internet. Then, virtually overnight, the bottom fell out. By 2008, stocks plummeted by 37% and millions of Americans lost everything: jobs, homes, and retirement accounts. Meanwhile, Larry Benedict, who will join us in a few minutes, posted gains of 23% and made nearly $100 million for his wealthiest clients. It happened again just a few years ago. In nearly 2022, stocks ran up to brand new record highs, and then it all fell apart during what would ultimately become the worst stock market crash since 2008. Anyone who followed Larry's work saw gains of 50%, 77%, and some even had the opportunity to capture gains higher than 100% as stocks ran to record highs and then melted down at the fastest pace since the Great Depression. Today, according to his research, the market is showing a historic opportunity for gains that could be even higher. In fact, he's certain he can show anyone with a simple brokerage account how to make their first $1,000 with just a few key moves, without chasing some hot AI stock, tech megatrend, or some risky cryptocurrency. In the past, what he's here to share has been accessible only to clients of his hedge fund. But now, you don't have to be a wealthy institutional investor to use his unique strategy. Many call Larry Benedict a market wizard after he was profiled in one of the best-selling market trading books in history. As you'll see, his strategy is unlike any you've used before. In fact, in just a few minutes, he's going to give you the exact ticker symbol you need to get started on your way to your first $1,000. Larry Benedict, welcome. It's so great to see you again.
Oh, Kimmy, it's great to be here. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Now, before we get started, I'd like to clear something up. You've been profiled in a series of famous books alongside folks like Paul Tudor Jones and Ray Dalio, right?
Right.
Some of the most legendary billionaires in the world and the most successful in finance. And you quite literally profited for 20 years straight, 2 decades, when you didn't have a single losing year.
Kimmy, that's right.
I'd bet a lot of money that there are fewer than a handful of people walking the earth who can make a similar claim. That's absolutely unheard of. And today you're going to show everyone how to do the same using one ticker symbol?
Well, Kimmy, to be clear, I can't promise 100% win rate. That would be crazy.
Okay, that's fair. But you are going to show our viewers how they can make their first $1,000 using a strategy they've almost certainly never seen before.
You got it, and hopefully even more than $1,000.
Interesting. I'm sure the folks watching are thinking, Larry, how is that possible? You're telling me someone who's never made a trade in their life can learn this strategy and potentially make $1,000 in just a matter of days, and then go for their second and their third, all using one ticker?
Well, Kimmy, I don't blame you or anyone else for their skepticism, but I've been using the same strategy for decades now.
That's right. As a hedge fund manager, this strategy is what helped you deliver millions upon millions of dollars in gains to your wealthy clients year after year in any market. Bull markets, bear markets, even sideways markets that couldn't pick a direction. And now for the last half decade or so, you've used the same strategy to help tens of thousands of everyday folks do the very same thing?
Exactly. I continue to use the same exact strategy.
The same strategy you used to put together a 20-year winning streak. So let's take a deeper look at that. I am fascinated. From 1990 to 2010, you were perfect. In a period that included the dot-com boom and crash to the 2008 Great Recession and housing crisis, you never had a losing year.
Not 1 year.
Your firm Banyan Capital was even named one of Barron's most successful hedge funds, ranked among the top 36 in the world. Larry, that list is nearly impossible to get on, considering there are more than 10,000 hedge funds. That puts you firmly in the top 1%. What an amazing accomplishment.
Oh, Kimmy, thanks a lot. It was an incredible run, but what's even more gratifying than the Barron's list was the profits we made for our clients.
As I understand it, you delivered nearly $300 million in profits.
That's right.
That's amazing. But let me ask you a question. Would it be fair to assume those folks had millions, maybe tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to invest? In other words, if I wanted to get started with your strategy today to earn my first $1,000, would I need millions of dollars or could I start with much less?
Oh, you can start with much less than that, Kimmy. That's why we're here today. You don't need to be a hedge fund manager to use my approach. Anyone can earn their first $1,000 using my strategy to help cover unplanned expenses, gas, home repairs, or even get to pad their retirement accounts.
Great. Can you share any stories about folks you've already helped using your earn your first $1,000 strategy?
Sure, let's take a look at the screen.
Okay, here's Chris N. He says, I made 12K within 3 hours. I get the feeling that Larry's strategy is the only thing I will need to retire comfortably. That's pretty powerful. $12,000 in just 3 hours.
Yeah, Kimmy, but we'll talk more about it in a minute. But the fact is that you can earn your first thousand using my strategy. You can make 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Really, the sky is the limit once you understand how it works.
Well, Chris certainly proved that point. Okay, let's look at another one. Rod R says, over 800%. That's my biggest 24-hour trade I've had in over 20 years. Thanks, Larry. 800% in a day? That's enough to turn $100 into $900 with a single trade. Is that right? Did I do my math right?
Sounds right to me.
So not quite $1,000, but it's pretty close.
Well, that's the power of my strategy, Kimmy. Are you beginning to see how I built such a successful hedge fund over the years?
Well, I'm seeing it up close and personal, Larry. Now, of course, everyone's experience will be different, and the gains may not all happen with a single trade. But there are many more stories just like these. We'll hear a few others in a few minutes, but before we do, Larry, let's talk about today's markets. You've made some exceptional gains in the past, but can you replicate your success for our viewers in today's markets? At a time when people are piling into stocks with record high valuations and nobody seems to really have a pulse on what's coming next.
Kimmy, that's a great question. I'm not just confident, I'm absolutely certain before we're done here today, I'll show everyone how to use my strategy to make their first $1,000 without risking hard-earned money on stocks with sky-high valuations.
Just like you did during the 2008 financial crisis, right?
Exactly. One of my best years of my life happened right in the middle of the 2008 crisis, in fact.
And you had another when you personally made $2 million in a single month during the pandemic in 2020.
That's right, another amazing month. If anyone wants to see more information about the trades and testimonials we mentioned, they can look at our details and disclosure page. But look, Kimmy, over the last few years, I've shown thousands of my followers how to make profits week after week and month after month in any market using a single ticker symbol, which I'll share free in just a few minutes.
So you're not worried about sky-high valuations, volatility, or the risk of a market crash at all?
Well, Kimmy, that's actually the beauty of my strategy. It literally doesn't matter what the market is doing. When you have a focused strategy like I do, and you use only one ticker, you can control your risk.
So in other words, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing you say is that the strategy you're going to show our viewers today is essentially a recession-proof way to make money in bull and bear markets?
And it's designed for literally anyone to make $1,000 or more starting as soon as tomorrow.
I love it. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you've already missed a lot, but not to worry. Market wizard Larry Benedict is about to show us all the details of his time-tested strategy anyone can use to make $1,000 in any market, up, down, or sideways, using a single ticker symbol. And to show how simple it is, you've even agreed to perform an over-the-shoulder demonstration, isn't that right?
That's right, Kimmy. I've got my phone with me, and I'll show you how to use my method right here on camera. It only takes a few seconds. You could start making money as early as today.
That sounds great, Larry. But before we get to the demo, I do have a few questions for you. As we've already discussed, you have a long history of getting results for your clients and followers using a single ticker symbol. I'm not sure I understand how that's possible.
Well, Kimmy, that's a perfect place to start. Yes, one ticker symbol is all it takes. It's very simple. My entire strategy has just two basic rules.
Okay, the first?
Well, Kimmy, the first rule is very basic. Diversification is for dummies.
Diversification is for dummies. But Larry, the mainstream media will tell you diversification is so important.
They'll tell you that, and they're dead wrong. It's one of the oldest mantras in finance. But when's the last time the average investor made $1,000 and with very little risk?
Fair enough. So rule number one is that diversification is for dummies.
You got it, and there's a very good reason why. You see, the average investor picks stocks based on the media narrative or stock charts.
Right. Over the last few months, many have chased the hottest tech stocks, for example.
Right, and many have likely done well. But the reality is today's markets are being driven by just a handful of high-flying stocks. It's a terrible time to diversify, and it's an even worse time to be in the most popular stocks.
But I know a lot of people who have made a lot of money.
They certainly have, but the question is, will it continue?
Right. I think I see what you're saying. When we look at the dot-com boom, for example, people who chase stocks like Pets.com and Lucent Technologies thought the good times were here to stay.
Well, back then they did, and Enron as well. Do you remember what happened next?
Yeah, the good times ended faster than they started, and people were ruined.
They sure did.
And in 2008, it happened again. People hopped on the housing bandwagon. Investors everywhere were flipping houses and taking profits.
Well, Kimmy, same old story, but different asset.
And some people still haven't recovered financially from that period.
Unfortunately not. Meanwhile, I help my clients make money through each of those periods using a single ticker symbol.
And you did the same thing in 2020, right? When stocks melted down during the pandemic, you personally made more than $2 million.
I did. So now you're beginning to see the power of my strategy.
Well, it's coming into focus for sure. And I guess it's even more powerful today as just a handful of stocks are propping up the entire financial system, right?
Exactly right. That's a great observation. And diversification is not only for dummies during a recession or a crash. Diversification has been holding people's investments back for years. Just look at the numbers.
What we're looking at here is the long-term performance of the S&P 500 from the last 25 years or so. It looks like it's delivered about 7% per year. Is that right?
That's right. Do you know how long it would take to turn 100,000 into multi-million-dollar retirement at that rate, Kimmy?
I have no idea.
Well, at that rate, it's about 34 years, and that doesn't even account for inflation.
Okay, and I'm curious, how long with inflation?
50 years.
50 years? Maybe that works if you're in your 20s, but if you're nearing retirement age, no way.
Exactly right, Kimmy. Lucky I realized this decades ago as a very young trader. On Wall Street, they would never tell you to trade everything. That would be a disaster. On Wall Street, it's about targeted trading. When I was at Spear Leads and Kellogg, for example, I specialized in trading a single index, XMI, all day, every day. It was my only focus.
And as I recall, Spear Leads was one of the most successful trading firms in the world, and you were one of their top traders. Is it common to have such a narrow focus?
Well, it's not only common, Kimmy, it's the rule. On Wall Street, everyone's a specialist. There are currency traders, equity traders, oil traders, and even grain traders.
Why is that? Why does everyone specialize?
Well, it's very simple. When you can only focus on one asset, you could ignore all the rest of the markets. You get to know it very well, and you can develop a deep understanding of the way it moves and behaves.
Right, so you can detect patterns.
Yeah, and you could figure out how to make money in your corner of the market, no matter what the overall market conditions are. That's how you make money, whether the overall markets are higher, lower, or even sideways. Let's take a look at a chart.
Wow, according to this, Wall Street is making tens of billions of dollars in trading revenue every year. Is that how they make so much money in any market, good and bad, by specializing?
That's exactly how. The truth is, Kimmy, as a trader, there are no bad markets. Any given year, there are billions and billions of dollars up for grabs.
Forget about billions, Larry. I can see why having a strategy our viewers can use in any market to make $1,000 would be incredibly valuable at a time like this.
Exactly. It's not just Wall Street using this approach. Warren Buffett uses it too.
Pardon me? I thought his firm Berkshire Hathaway was wildly diversified.
Many people assume that, but take a look at this quote.
Buffett says, if it's your game, diversification doesn't make sense. It's crazy to put money into your 20th choice rather than your first choice. It's the LeBron James analogy. If you have basketball legend LeBron James on your team, you don't take him out of the game just to make room for someone else. Wow. Even Buffett doesn't believe in diversification. Who would have thought?
Yeah, here's another quote.
Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you're doing.
Well, Kimmy, he practices what he preaches too. About two-thirds of Berkshire's portfolio is invested in just four stocks. And Buffett isn't alone. Bond king Bill Gross became a billionaire by trading only bonds. And billionaire founder of Palantir, Peter Thiel, made more than $1 billion from a single stock, Facebook. There are so many examples I could keep going.
Okay, so I think we've proven your first rule. Diversification is for dummies. I think now's a good time to talk about the second rule.
Of course. Put simply, the second rule is use options.
Larry, are you serious? That's crazy. Very, very few people are comfortable trading options.
I know most people think options are too hard or too complicated. In my opinion, the fear of options is a tactic used by the big players on Wall Street to scare common folks away. But the fact is, more people than ever are trading options. And put simply, options are a lot easier than people think. And this is perhaps the most important point I'll make here today. Options are a dream come true for everyday folks
But why would Wall Street want to gatekeep options?
because their business model depends on it. Wall Street traders make a killing every day with less risk and less money up front
Okay, then why are they a dream come true for common folks?
for three reasons. Two are the ones I just mentioned: less risk and less money up front to get in.
And the third?
Options work whether stocks go up or down or sideways.
Ah, so that's the secret sauce to your success. The reason why you don't care which way stocks go and how you came out ahead for 20 years in a row for your clients.
You got it. You're starting to see it now. Look, when you use options, all it takes is a small move in either direction or no move at all in some cases, and you have the potential for huge profits.
Huge gains from a tiny move. How is that possible?
I'll show you. Let's take a look at an example I showed my followers not too long ago. On November 1st, I recommended an option trade to a group of my followers. Over the next month, the stock jumped by 18%.
Any investor would love to have a gain of 18% in a month. That's a pretty big move.
You're right, Kimmy, but folks who traded options using my recommendation had the chance to make 300% in just 4 days.
That's more than 10 times as much.
16 times as much, to be exact, in a fraction of the time.
Okay, so that's definitely a great example, but you can't possibly deliver like that every time, right?
The results for every trade are different. But here's another. This time the stock fell by 5%, and my followers saw the opportunity to make 125% in just 11 days.
So you turned a loss into a 125% gain? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like options create a kind of multiplier effect. Is that right?
That's exactly right, Kimmy. Of course, these are some of my best recommendations, and I can't promise you'll see these results going forward. But you're exactly right. A multiplier effect is exactly what options give us.
And if I'm understanding you correctly, trading options can take a small move in either direction and multiply it by 5 times or 10 times.
Sometimes even 20 times or even more.
With gains like that, it seems like showing someone how to earn their first $1,000 should be pretty straightforward, conservative even. Larry, before we go on, I do have a question. How did you learn to do all this? I mean, you told us about your experience on Wall Street, but there was a moment that clicked for you. What was that?
Exactly. I'm glad you asked the question. It's a funny story, Kimmy. I actually discovered my strategy by getting fired.
By getting fired?
Yeah, that's right. I've been a professional trader for more than 40 years. It's been a great career, but I got off to a pretty rocky start. Honestly, my first 2 years, I got fired more times than I could count. They didn't give you a very long leash on Wall Street. I would get hired, start trading, and as soon as I started to lose money or make a mistake, I was out.
Just like that.
No matter what I did, I couldn't get anything to work.
Well, I mean, you obviously turned it around. How did you do it?
Yeah, of course I did. In the early going, I was trying to trade everything under the sun. Just like we talked about a few minutes ago, I was trading the latest hot stock, the biggest fad trend. I was like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, trading everything only to end up with an upset stomach.
And staying with that metaphor, I eventually figured out I needed to replace candy with meat and potatoes. As we discussed earlier, I replaced trading hot stocks and trends, diversification, as we discussed before, with specialization.
And you replaced stocks with options. So specialization and options became your meat and potatoes.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. And from those simple changes, I built one of the top hedge funds in the world.
Amazing that such small changes in focus can lead to the amazing results that we've already seen here today.
Are you now beginning to see why I'm so confident I can show everyone watching here today how to make their first $1,000 using my simple strategy?
Well, I gotta be honest, you're certainly turning me into a believer. Now, a few minutes ago, we heard from Chris N, who said, I made 12K within 3 hours. I get the feeling that Larry's strategy is the only thing I will need to retire comfortably. And I recall Rod R said he made over 800%. That's my biggest 24-hour trade I've had in over 20 years. Thanks, Larry. Honestly, I was a bit skeptical. I usually take testimonials with a serious grain of salt. But we also looked at trade recommendations you made to some of your followers that led to potential gains of 300% in 4 days and 120% in 11 days. Now, let's do some quick math. If someone put $500 into that trade, it could have turned into more than $1,000
Yeah, well over 1,000, in fact.
with just a single trade. And the numbers on the other side are even more staggering. 300% turns every $1,000 invested into $4,000.
Exactly right, Kimmy. During my own trading career, after I figured out my 2 rules, I was making $1,000 a day, then $10,000 in a day, and eventually $100,000 or even more in just one day.
And wow, and now you're here to show our viewers how they can use that same strategy. But why? Wouldn't it be just easier to gatekeep your strategy and to keep it private and continue making thousands of dollars per day for yourself? Why have you, after all these years, decided to share your strategy?
That's a great question, Kimmy. It doesn't seem like it would make sense, does it? Sure, I could keep it all for myself. I built a successful career. I was ranked number 36 in the world by Barron's.
You've worked with folks like the Royal Bank of Canada, made money for the Bank of New York, and delivered results for the Saudi National Commercial Bank, among others. At the peak, you were managing over $900 million. You had a hedge fund ranked in the top 1% in the world.
Kimmy, I'm certainly proud of the work that I've done, but now I've come to the stage of my career where it's time to share my knowledge with others. I'm glad to be able to put together a successful career using my trading strategies, but a few years ago, my mission changed. Today, I'm making it my mission to help real everyday folks close the gap on the top 1% of earners.
I love that, Larry. What an amazing goal. And it couldn't come at a better time. Just about everyone I know is struggling with the rising cost of living. Millions are falling behind on their payments. The dream of owning a home is a pipe dream for many. And Americans are pulling money out of their retirement accounts at record pace just to make ends meet.
Exactly. What better time than now to show folks how to make an extra $1,000?
Exactly. I truly couldn't agree more. Now, earlier you said you'd show everyone your strategy in action.
Let's do it, Kimmy.
Perfect. I want the viewers at home to see how real people are already using your strategy every day to close the gap. Before, you said you just use one ticker symbol, right? So it's the same one month after month and year after year?
Well, not exactly. Simply put, I focus on one ticker at a time. That's the secret. Here's how it works. I zero in on one ticker and use it for a period of time, a month, maybe 2 months, and maybe more.
But how do you decide which ticker to trade?
It depends on market conditions. When the markets change, I switch to a different ticker.
Sounds a lot like chasing the trend. How is this different?
Well, it's a good question. The difference is a bit nuanced. We're not chasing the trend, but we are staying aware of market conditions. It's not set it and forget it. It's more like staying fluid without hopping from one thing to the next, like flowing with what the market shows us.
Okay, let's go over some examples, okay?
Let's look at a trade I recommended to my followers some months ago when I locked into one of my favorite tickers, QQQ.
The ETF that tracks technology, right?
Yes, that's the one. It's been one of my top recommendations for years. Now, during that period of time, I recommended trades on QQQ a handful of times. Each trade was a winner. Take a look.
Wow. 31% in 24 hours, 50% in 2 days, and 106% in 3 days. That's just incredible, Larry.
And Kimmy, get this. During that period of time, tech stocks were actually melting down.
So you used a fund that tracks tech stocks and delivered gains as high as 106% during a crash?
And my followers had the opportunity to more than double their money.
And they could have done it in as little as 3 days.
Surprisingly right.
More than surprising. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
Kimmy, what do you think would happen if my followers had listened to the so-called retirement experts and held tech stocks instead of using my strategy?
They would have lost money.
More specifically, they would have seen losses in the double digits. Instead, they had the opportunity to turn crashing tech stocks into 5,000 or 10,000 or even more from a fairly modest investment. Let's look at another example. A while back, I saw an opportunity with the ticker MARA, a cryptocurrency miner.
Cryptocurrencies are such a volatile market.
You're right, but I recommended Mara 3 times, and each recommendation resulted in a winner. My followers had the opportunity to make as much as 98% in a month, even as Bitcoin crashed.
So in other words, you showed your followers how to make crypto-like gains even in the face of a crypto crash. The market headwinds didn't even matter. That is wild.
Well, actually, the headwinds didn't matter. That's where the money was made. Remember, we're not investing the usual way. This is not buy and hold. We don't just wait on the market. We're actively taking advantage of the market moves every day right now.
Whether the markets fall, rise, or trend sideways.
Exactly right.
So, Larry, you've mentioned your followers a few times now. Can you tell us who are your followers and how did they find you?
Well, that's a great question, Kimmy. They found me in all sorts of ways. Most have found me through my boutique research firm. Many follow my introductory trading research service called One Ticker Trader. We'll talk more about my service in a minute, but my followers are people from all walks of life and all income levels.
Sounds like you've got a good mix following your recommendations, and it sounds like they're happy with your service too. I have notes here from Christopher K, for example. Christopher says, I entered my first trade last week using your One Ticker Trader and made a profit of 23% in just 2 days. Thanks for helping the common folks.
That's a great example. This was his first trade using my research service.
And he made 23% in just 2 days.
On his first trade.
Okay, let's hear from another follower. Here's a note from Emilio M, who wrote, I was at work when you sent the first sell alert. Sold for 100% return. My first 100% return feels good. Thank you for your knowledge. 100%, Larry? That's enough to double your money in a single trade. 100 turns to 200, 500 into 1,000.
Correct. And again, I want to reiterate, these people aren't professional traders, Kimmy. Anyone can get started right now, even if you have very little experience. It only takes a few seconds to place a trade. Here, let me show you. Keep in mind this demo is for educational purposes only. This is not an actionable trade idea.
Okay. Go here. Okay, so he's clicking a few buttons, and that's it.
How long did that take? 10 seconds?
Wasn't even that long. You really weren't kidding. That's so fast.
Well, that's all it takes, Kimmy.
With that one maneuver, you're ready to go?
Absolutely. That's all it takes to get started. And that's actually leading me to a point I want to make about my service.
Okay.
We spent a lot of time talking about helping folks make their first $1,000 using my One Ticker Trader service.
Right.
I just want to point out your first 1,000 is only the beginning. If you can make your first 1,000, you can make 2,000. And if you could make 2,000, you'll have all the skills you need to make 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, or even more. You're only capped by the resource you have available.
So in other words, the sky is the limit with your service.
Bingo. And again, the folks who are already succeeding, folks like Emilio and Christopher, are not necessarily hedge fund traders or professional money managers.
They're regular people working regular jobs.
I'd suspect most of my followers weren't born on third base, and at some point they stepped to the plate to make their first trade.
That's such a key point, Larry. So many people never even get started. We have one more letter to read from someone who did get started. His name is Frank Yu. He says, I bought at $4.24, sold for $7.03, a 65.9% gain in 1 week.
A home run. I don't care if you've been doing this for 2 days or 2 decades. That's a home run. Nice job, Frank, and thanks for writing in. That's the power of my strategy in action. I recently received confirmation that one of my followers, Randy M., made $50,000 in a single year.
$50,000? Larry, that's incredible. Now, we've talked about your followers a few times now, and we've heard from several. If someone wants to follow you, learn how to make their first $1,000, and perhaps even grow their retirement account using your strategy, how can they do that?
That's a great question, Kimmy. In a minute, I'll show everyone exactly how they can get started today with a steep discount on my work. I'd like to show a couple more trade examples to make sure everyone really understands how powerful this strategy can be. And after that, I'll reveal the one ticker I'm using with the strategy right now. Sound good?
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
Great. Let's go back to March 2025. That was when Elon Musk was slashing government programs.
His Doge project, I remember.
Exactly. One of his cuts sent the market plummeting 4% in a single day. I saw the shape of what was about to happen, and I alerted my followers ahead of the sell-off.
So the market sold off by 4%. And how did your followers do?
On the day of the sell-off, some of my followers could have booked gains of 47%, 28%, and 50%.
In a single day?
3 winning trades in a single day. That's right. And I spotted another winner back in 2023 when Elon was in the process of buying Twitter. The markets didn't like the move and Tesla was getting hammered. But I was able to position my followers for a 69% gain in just 6 days. Kimmy, I've been doing this for more than 4 decades now. I've traded through the dot-com bubble, the Great Recession, and the COVID crash, among countless other enormous market events. During the dot-com bubble, as the NASDAQ fell 78% that year, that became part of my 20-year winning streak. And in 2008, it was even bigger.
That was the year you made almost $100 million for your clients, right?
Using the exact same approach we're talking about today, the S&P fell 37% and I posted gains of 23%.
A swing of more than 50 percentage points.
What's even more important is I turned what would have been a huge loss into a massive win for my clients.
A negative into a positive, and that's the kind of thing that keeps people in their homes and keeps food on the table.
That's why I'm here today. That's exactly why. I've been able to do the same thing during the COVID crash of 2020. And on February 24th, 2020, for example, the Dow dropped 3.5%. I told CNBC there was much more to come. And within a month, do you know how much the market had dropped?
How much?
34%.
And you still made money?
I saw what was about to happen, and I personally made $2 million in a single month. It happened again after the election of President Trump in 2025. My recommendations went 13 for 13 by getting ahead of the post-election policies by the White House.
Which policies?
Well, Trump's tariffs, for example. Do you remember Trump's tariff day and the aftermath that followed?
Oh, yeah. Markets hated the news about the tariffs.
Precisely. The tariffs turned the market upside down. But I positioned a group of my followers in QQQ, the fund that tracks the NASDAQ, for a 60% gain. The same tariff turmoil that led to opportunity after opportunity. My followers could have seen another trade worth as much as 30% in 2 days, and one for more than 29% in 2 days. And in 2025, the S&P returned about 15%.
And what about your followers?
They made 279% on a return on cash basis.
If we do a bit of quick math, that's nearly 20 times the S&P's percentage return. That's insane. I'm loving these examples, but unfortunately, we're almost out of time. There's still one big question I'm almost too afraid to ask. Why aren't more people using this strategy, Larry? If it's so successful, if it's so simple, it seems like this should be the way that it's done.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Kimmy. The reason why more people don't do it, though, is simple. The mainstream media and big investment brokerage houses would go out of business. If the media only talked about one stock or one strategy, what do you think would happen?
Their ratings would plummet.
You got it. There would be no reason to watch. If Jim Cramer only talked about the S&P or the QQQ, no one would write in.
That actually sounds pretty nice. Financial media without Jim Cramer.
Well, it would certainly be more peaceful for sure.
Okay, that's a fair point. If the mainstream media said the truth is you can ignore 99% of the market, nobody would need to watch. And if everyone traded the same recommendations, the brokerage accounts wouldn't be all that busy either.
They would all go bankrupt. Fidelity, E-Trade, Interactive Brokers, all of them. They want you trading nonstop all the time. That's how they make their money.
And that's why this approach remains largely unknown.
That's it. The truth is inconvenient to their business model.
And the truth, as we've learned here today, is that we can indeed ignore 99% of the market and focus on a single stock or idea at a time. Larry, I think that's a good segue to something we've teased a few times now. Which stock are you trading in today's markets?
Excellent question. Today, I'm watching one of the most fascinating trends that I've ever seen. And I'm not only watching it because it's been the hottest trend of the last few years, but because it's driving enormous change throughout the world. The White House supports it strongly, and today more money is flooding into it than any other sector. I'm talking about technology.
That seems like a pretty obvious choice.
You might think that, but I'm not only following tech because it's hot. I'm following it because it has incredible volatility. We've shared countless examples of my strategy working in all markets, whether they're going up, down, or sideways. Whether you're a fan of Elon and NVIDIA, or you'd rather keep your life as low tech as possible, there's always a trade to be made in the technology sector. Right now, things are moving at breakneck speed.
They absolutely are. We have artificial intelligence, robotics, digital money.
We're even seeing technology that looks for new gold and oil deposits, cures for disease, and so many other things. That's why today the main ticker symbol I am making trades on is one I've mentioned a few times already. QQQ, the Invesco ETF that tracks the technology sector and the NASDAQ 100.
QQQ. Okay, that's the symbol. Let's talk more about that. Why QQQ in particular when there are so many other technology trades out there to choose from?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Look, the frenzy over technology and AI stocks has driven the bull market since the most recent low of October 2022. The 10 largest stocks in the NASDAQ make up between 45 and 50% of the index, which is the highest concentration that we've ever seen. And today, as a swarm of new IPOs, acquisitions, and mergers hit the market, I expect wild speculative swings in the sector for the foreseeable future.
Like the crazy volatility we saw after the SpaceX IPO, right?
Exactly, just like that. And the months ahead, I predict we're about to see the biggest IPO boom bust cycle in history.
Interesting. You're predicting a boom and a bust. So you don't think the AI story continues to drive a bull market?
Well, not at all in the same way that we've seen. Some of these IPOs will make investors a lot of money, but others almost certainly will be exposed as like Enron level events that expose fraud, lies, and deceit.
Like we saw at the top of the dot-com era.
Exactly like that, yes. For every Amazon, we're going to see a handful of pets.com, Webvan type stocks that create massive market volatility. I can almost guarantee we'll see a few, perhaps even many.
And do you think we'll see meltdowns as big as the Enron debacle?
I do, absolutely. All you have to do is look at the raw value of these firms today. Enron was worth about $70 billion at the peak.
Now, we're talking about companies worth 10 times as much, some even 20 times bigger.
You got it. Do you see why I expect such incredible volatility? That's the reason why I'm watching QQQ so closely and why I use it as a proxy for all these firms.
I'm seeing it clearly, Larry, and it's a little bit terrifying to tell you the truth.
Well, not so fast. For a lot of people, it's going to be a generational chance at immense wealth. And for others, it's almost certainly going to end in disaster. That's exactly why I'm here today. It's at times like this when enormous volatility can move trillions in and out of the market on a daily basis, when just about anyone can use the strategy that we've laid out today for the chance to make 1,000, 2,000, even 5,000 or more.
That's right, of course. And I understand you put together a special report to show everyone watching today how they can use QQQ starting as soon as tomorrow's opening bell, right?
I did. It's called How to Make Your First 1,000 in QQQ as Technology Booms and Busts.
That's quite a fitting title, Larry. Is there an Amazon link that folks can click on to order the report?
Oh no, this report is only available for my followers. I've never opened these reports to people browsing on Amazon. It wouldn't be worth it. I'm looking for followers who are more engaged than the general Amazon reader.
Okay, so then how can our viewers become one of your followers and get their hands on that new report?
Earlier, I mentioned a special offer for folks who want to become members of my service called One Ticker Trader. When you become a new member today, I'll send my research report on how you can make your first $1,000 in QQQ instantly to your email address. In the report, I'll give you more details about QQQ, which anyone can trade using a standard brokerage account with just a few clicks.
It's that easy?
It's just a few clicks of the mouse or taps on your phone screen. In fact, when folks sign up today, I'll send a short video to take them by the hand and show them exactly how easy this process is to do.
Great. And you'll explain the exact strategy you recommend?
Absolutely. I'll show everyone who joins One Ticker Trader everything they need to get started and get them on their way to make their first $1,000 and hopefully much, much more.
And again, it really couldn't come at a better time. With prices soaring higher and higher, the cost of living life is relentless. We've shown over and over how your trades have handed your followers the opportunity to target enormous gains in as little as a few days, and in some cases, literally one day. Now, obviously, past performance doesn't guarantee future returns, and all investing involves risk. With Larry's option strategy, your risk is limited to what you pay per contract. But Larry, your results speak for themselves. If you can show even one person how to target their first $1,000 in the weeks ahead, I'd imagine you'd be thrilled.
Well, I hope I can show my strategy to thousands or even tens of thousands of people. But you're exactly right. I'm convinced we're just getting started. The technology trade could create volatility like the likes that we've never seen.
And therein lies the opportunity. Larry, we've talked about a special offer a few times now. How can our viewers get started?
It's very simple, Kimmy. Normally, the price to join One Ticker Trader and follow along with my favorite strategy is $499. That's the price you'd pay if you call to my customer service team or join through my website. But I don't want anyone to miss out because my work is too expensive. So today, right now, the price to join is just $19.
$19? Don't you mean $199?
No, $19, Kimmy. You heard me right.
That's more than 90% off, Larry. You're basically working for free.
Like I said, I'm making my mission to show as many people as possible how they can use the same strategies I've used.
Wow. And I mean that. Wow. Here's a man who's generated hundreds of millions of dollars in his career, a man whose fund was ranked by Barron's as one of the top moneymakers in the entire world, who had 20 profitable years in a row, giving away his methods for the price of a sandwich and chips.
And I make it as easy as possible to say yes right now. Anyone who joins today after watching this presentation will have 30 days to look over my work, to test drive the recommendations I issue. And if it's not for you, that's okay. You can contact my friendly professional customer service team and request a refund for every penny of your membership cost. And you can keep the special QQQ report as my gift.
Simple as that. I'm floored, Larry. What a generous offer. Only $19 to get all of your recommendations for an entire year. And at a time like this, when technology is as volatile as ever. Larry, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share before we finish up?
I think we've just about covered it, Kimmy. Look, this is a unique moment in time. Trillions of dollars are changing hands every single day. More money is moving than ever, and that creates more volatility than ever. If you have the right strategy at the right time, the world is yours to take.
Thanks, Larry. Well said. Folks, there's a button on the bottom of your screen that says Join Now. I want you to click that button to get started immediately. When you do, you'll get immediate access to Larry's special report called How to Make Your First Thousand in QQQ as Technology Booms and Busts. You'll also get Larry's latest research, along with his entire library of special reports. Once you're in, you'll receive his next recommendation and each one after that for the next year.
That's right, Kimmy. I want everyone to keep in mind that I only make recommendations when the setup is favorable. I don't want to risk anyone's money unnecessarily with risky recommendations, though there could be weeks where there are no trades and others where we have several.
That's good to know, Larry. And there are two more benefits we need to mention before we go. One, Larry is going to send you his complete guide to options trading. Essentially, he's going to hold your hand through the entire process, so there's no confusion making the trades when getting in and when getting out. And two, Larry has set up a direct line that allows you to submit your questions, a kind of Ask Larry Anything line. Now, to be clear, Larry can't offer any personalized or specific investing advice. But in the last few months, he's answered questions from his followers on topics like the recent wave of technology IPOs, the approaching market tipping point, the possibility of a recession on the horizon, what's moving the oil market, Bitcoin and digital assets, the effects of the Supreme Court rulings on the markets, opportunities in silver and gold, and many, many more. Larry, you give a lot of access to folks who follow your work in One Ticker Trader.
I just love to follow the markets. It's why I've done this for more than 4 decades and have dedicated my life to it.
Along with access to your strategy, your recommendations, 2 special reports, and a 30-day guarantee, your love of the game is obvious. And all of that for just $19. Folks, we're about out of time. I want you to click that button right now to get started. Larry, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kimmy. I appreciate it.
For Larry Benedict, I'm Kimmy Weintraub signing off. Thanks for watching.